Picture this: the most expensive military aircraft ever built, a bomber so advanced that entire defense networks were designed around trying to detect it, a machine that represents the absolute peak of Cold War aerospace ambition. And yet, you almost never see it. Not in constant combat footage, not rotating endlessly through modern wars, not roaring overhead the way other bombers do. The B-2 Spirit exists in a strange place in military history. Everyone knows its name, everyone knows its shape, but very few people have actually seen it do what it was built to do, and that raises a question that almost nobody asks. Why is the most advanced bomber in the world also one of the least visible? The B-2 entered service in the late 1990s. By then, the Cold War was already ending. The Soviet Union was gone, and many people assumed the aircraft it was designed to fight would never be needed. Yet the B-2 wasn't retired. It wasn't sidelined. It wasn't replaced. Instead, it was quietly preserved, rarely deployed, rarely photographed, rarely discussed in operational detail. This wasn't because it failed. It was because the B-2 was never meant to be used the way other aircraft are. Most military aircraft prove their value through repetition. They fly often. They deploy constantly. They show up in every conflict. The B-52 became legendary because it never stopped flying. The B-1 earned its reputation through relentless operational tempo. The B-2 did the opposite. It became valuable precisely because it didn't show up. To understand this, you have to forget the idea that the B-2 is just another bomber. It isn't. The B-2 wasn't designed to fight wars the way bombers traditionally do. It was designed to exist at the edge of escalation, right at the moment where conflicts stop being manageable. The B-2 doesn't live in the long war layer. It lives in the threshold. When the B-2 appears, it's not meant to overwhelm the battlefield. It's meant to answer a much darker question. What happens when air defenses are so dense, so integrated, that no conventional aircraft can enter without unacceptable losses? That's the problem the B-2 was built to solve. Not how to fly often, not how to carry the most weapons, not how to adapt endlessly, but how to cross a line that was never supposed to be crossed safely. This is why the B-2 looks the way it does. Its flying wing shape isn't a stylistic choice. It isn't futuristic flair. It's the physical outcome of a single obsession. Don't be seen. Not be hard to hit. Not escape after detection. Just don't exist as a target at all. Every curve, every edge, every surface on the B-2 is part of that obsession. The aircraft doesn't rely on speed to survive. It doesn't rely on maneuverability. It doesn't rely on last-second reactions. It relies on absence. And absence changes everything. Most combat aircraft are built to accept losses over time. They're expected to deploy repeatedly. They're designed to be maintained, rotated, replaced. The B-2 was never built for that world. Only 21 were produced. Lose one and you lose nearly 5% of the entire fleet. That alone tells you something important. This aircraft was never meant to be consumed. Because once you accept that reality, the logic becomes clear. The B-2 isn't a tool you use often, it's a capability you hold. Its purpose isn't to dominate daily operations. Its purpose is to sit quietly in the background, shaping decisions before combat ever begins. It's a reminder that even the most protected airspace is not absolute. This is why the B-2's combat history feels so strange. When it first appeared over Kosovo in 1999, it flew non-stop from Missouri, struck targets deep inside defended territory, and returned without landing. No staging bases, no forward deployment, just presence and disappearance. Later, in Afghanistan and Iraq, the pattern repeated. The B-2 didn't flood the skies. It didn't loiter for hours. It appeared briefly, struck critical targets, and left. Each mission carried enormous political and strategic weight. These weren't routine sorties, they were signals. And that's the part many people miss. The B-2 isn't measured by how many bombs it drops, it's measured by when it's allowed to fly. Every B-2 mission represents a decision that escalation is acceptable. That's a very different role from aircraft designed for sustained conflict. This also explains why the B2 has remained so tightly controlled. Its upgrades are rarely discussed in detail. Its operational concepts are intentionally vague. Its deployment patterns are deliberately unpredictable, not because it's fragile, but because its value comes from uncertainty. If everyone knows exactly how and when it will be used, its deterrent power fades. Compare that to other bombers. The B-52 thrives on visibility. It reassures allies through constant presence. It signals endurance. The B-1 shows speed and flexibility. The B-2 shows something else entirely: finality. That difference becomes even clearer when you look at cost. The B-2 is staggeringly expensive to operate. Its stealth coatings demand meticulous care. Its maintenance cycles are unforgiving. This isn't inefficiency, it's intentional limitation. The aircraft was never optimized for frequency, it was optimized for uniqueness. Which brings us to the future. As the B-21 Raider slowly enters service, many assume it will simply replace the B-2, but that misunderstands what the B-2 represents. The B-21 is designed for scale, for sustainability, for operating inside modern networks. The B-2 was built for a moment when none of that existed. It represents the final expression of a world where survival had to be guaranteed before the mission ever began. No adaptive networks, no real-time sensor fusion, no safety nets, just geometry, materials, and silence. That's why the B-2 still matters, not because it flies often, not because it dominates headlines, but because it occupies a place in military planning that nothing else quite replaces. A reminder that some capabilities are too dangerous to use casually. The B-2 spirit doesn't rewrite battlefields. It rewrites assumptions. It tells adversaries that even their safest spaces are conditional. And that message doesn't need to be delivered often. In fact, it works best when it isn't. So the strange truth about the B-2 is this: its power isn't in what it does repeatedly. Its power is in what it could do, and almost never has to. In a world obsessed with constant presence and visible dominance, the B-2 proves that sometimes the most powerful weapon is the one you rarely see. The B-2 is one of the few systems built around this idea.